the June 22nd telephonic meeting of the Green Bay Plan Commission. My name is Sid Bremer. I am chairing this meeting in the absence of our chair, Tim Gilbert. And I'd like to start by having a roll call. Tim is excused and I am present. Alderman Veronica Corpus-Dax.
Present.
Commissioner Lisa Hanson.
Present.
Commissioner Jake Miller.
Present.
And Commissioner Randy Petrowski.
Present.
Okay, and I see we have a couple alders with us as well. Alder Dorf, thank you, and lost my Zoom here. Come on back there. And Alder Mark Stoyer I saw before. He's disappeared momentarily, and there he is. And Alder Lynn Gerlach. Does anybody else want to introduce themselves at this point? We'll call on individuals who are interested in particular items as we move along. We need a motion, please, to approve the agenda for the meeting.
So moved.
Thank you very much, Veronica Corpus-Dax. And I see a second from Commissioner Lisa Hanson. Sorry for the unallowed promotion there, Lisa. You should be. And then a motion. Oh, does anybody object to approval of the agenda? Hearing no objections, it stands approved. And I need a motion then to approve the minutes for May 26, 2020.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. And a second? Oh, come on.
Second.
Second, if you need it.
Sorry.
I'll take it from Jake, just so just your glory. Thank you very much. Does anybody object to that? Hearing no objections, the minutes for May 26th stand approved. Our business begins with a request from Alder Mark Stoyer to look at the feasibility and various site locations for a virtual drive-in theater or performing arts venue as is being created in numerous other locations. And I'm not sure who is the presenter on this.
I can speak to that. You want to? I can give a brief introduction. So, Alderman Stoyer made a request. Some of the uses he identifies are certainly possible, but they fall in two different camps. One is either a temporary type of use or maybe a semi-permanent type of use. Temporary uses are allowed up to 15 days in any calendar year. Semi-permanent or permanent uses may require conditional use permit or site plan approval. So again, we don't have specific locations, but certainly the code or the zoning code allows for those types of use to occur. It just depends if they're temporary or permanent types of uses. Is currently at our 10 and maybe broadening that a little bit. 15 days is not a long time to conduct a temporary use. So we're looking at maybe something more in the 90-day range with other development standards. So we hope to bring that back maybe as early as next month. So at this point, regarding Alderman Stoyer's request, we'd simply receive and place on file.
Okay, and if we even place it on file, you all will continue to work on it with a view to bring it back next month?
Correct. Yes.
So I don't have to speak at all?
You don't have to unless you want to, Alder Stoyer.
Well, I don't know if I'd be beating a dead horse on this or not, but I guess all I wanted to say is that there are 4 or 5 outdoor theaters in the northeast part of the state, and they have been utilized quite extensively over time. I just want to state that I'm old enough to remember drive-in theaters years ago, and they've kind of gone by the wayside in a lot of communities because of economic reasons and urban sprawl. But I think partly because of the pandemic that some of this is starting to come back and people are looking for entertainment options. And this would just be one of those options. So I know Mr. Newmeyer had talked about, the temporary, and that's all fine and dandy. Some of the neighborhood associations have movies where they'll they'll get a projector and a screen, and you can set it up at your house. You can have a drive-in set up, you know, if you have the right equipment, and you have to pay for the movie. So that's not the point. But for me, I was looking more or less for something semi-permanent or permanent down the road. I think it's an opportunity, depending on what happens with the pandemic. You know, a lot of movie theaters are closed now or opening very slowly. And I'm just thinking this is an opportunity for something like this to come forward. And even after the pandemic dissipates, I still think there's a possibility that something like this could fit in the area. So I've got notes, I've got things I've done, but you know, if Mr. Newmeyer thinks that we should just receive and place on file, I don't know if others want to chime in on that or not, but I think there's not so much, there's a bit of a need, but I think there's also a place for it. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Alder Stoyer. Are you comfortable with aiming to bring it back next month?
Well, that's fine. I mean, you know, by the time we get this over with, the season will be done. So, you know, part of what I wanted to do is to see what areas. I was thinking that planning might bring something back, you know, as far as maybe a couple of site locations. You know, generalities are fine, but I think, you know, I was just looking for some specific spots. And I mean, if I need to look at it, I will. But I think there's enough room in this city to have something. So I think that would be important too, not only just the feasibility of it, but the location. So that would be my desire.
Director Vaughn, do you want to contribute to this?
Yeah, I do. So I think looked at this on a number of fronts, and one, it definitely was towards the you know, short-term temporary use, right? If a movie house, a theater can't be open right now, and they want to do something outdoors, drive-in or sit-in or whatever it may be, okay, how could you do that in the city? And really, you know, looking through the code, finding the only way to really do that, the temporary use permit. It's really the only way that, you know, kind of captures or covers something like that right now. You know, it's not a by right thing that you could do, you know, building a permanent structure. And so we felt, okay, if somebody wants to do this, you know, they could do it for 15 days. And again, those days don't have to be consecutive. They could pick 15 days in which they wanted to do things. But through further conversation, we said, really, that's not a long time to try something out. And so I drew a parallel to, you know, what the Traffic, Pedestrian, and Bicycle Committee does. They do things on a 90-day trial basis. So why don't we up our temporary uses to 90 days? Give somebody long enough time to figure out, all right, is this an appropriate land use? You know, could we potentially continue to do it or extend it? Or, you know, do we need to go down the road of doing something more permanent? You know, 90 days is long enough, we feel, to, you know, try and figure out what that may be. And so with that, you know, we're moving forward to amend the code to allow for a longer period there. The other thing that we're doing, just in terms of just additional temporary uses, I know we talked a little bit about here, City Council passed an ordinance through their emergency declaration, amending a different chapter, not the zoning code, but basically allowing establishments who serve liquor to expand their premises and change that from a long process to really more of an administrative one for this year. So you could do that on private property with our department approval, on the public right-of-way, side Oaker Street through DPW approval, and into a park through parks approval. What we didn't catch in there, though, is like, what about if you don't serve alcohol? And so we're looking to bring back to council opportunity for just other food beverage establishments to go through the same process and do the same thing. Again, provide opportunity to expand businesses. But I think back to Alder Stoyer's other question about, you know, where a long-term, you know, facility like this could be. That's not really, in a sense, for us to decide the specific locations. That's really a market decision. And if somebody, an entity, a business wants to do it, you know, generally they're going to be looking at a commercial zone in which to do it, or a downtown zone, or a mixed use zone in which to do it. And then we can go through a process of, depending on what improvements they're going to make, you know, figure out whether that fits in the code or not, and potentially make adjustments there. To date, we have not received any inquiries. The anybody wanting to do that. And I think, hopefully with moving ahead with some of these temporary things, if somebody were to go down that path, we would be able to work on a code to be able to do those things in a pretty short order. So again, just because there is a time and expense to setting up something more permanent, by the time you get going, you may not be open till fall anyway. So here's a way to get that short piece in order. Yes, and to my knowledge, nobody has yet about something more permanent. Then we can adjust as needed.
That sounds fine to me.
Okay.
That sounds fine. I think just the fact that there are some minor changes going on in the code, I think that bodes well for not only like this, but for other uses as well. So, yeah, you're right. You can't force anybody to build something. You have to let the market dictate it. But I would like citizens and businesses to know that there's possibilities here. So if nothing else, just to get the information out there so people can look at it and see if it's feasible. So if I succeeded with that, then I'm happy. Thank you.
So I take it then that we can expect to see something along the lines of those minor changes for temporary usages at our next meeting. I see nods from Paul Newmeyer and Kevin Vonk. Do we have a motion to receive and place on file for that purpose?
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Hanson. A second, please, from Alder Corpus Dax. Any further comments from the commissioners? Then I do need to take a roll call vote on that. And may I have the vote of Alder Corpus Dax?
Aye.
Commissioner Hanson?
Aye.
Commissioner Miller?
Aye.
Commissioner Petrosky?
Aye.
And I will vote aye as well. So it passes unanimously that we will look forward to something responsive to the feasibility of various possible locations of a virtual drive-in theater or performing arts venue at our next meeting. Thank you very much. The next items on our agenda involve two public hearings, and rather than read the statement on public hearings twice over, I'm just going to read it once now. Each public hearing has been properly posted and public notification has been published. Did I just vote? Yes, we did just vote. Good. And public notification has been published in the Green Bay Press Gazette. The Plan Commission is interested in hearing public comments on the subject agenda items. We invite your comments and ask that after your name has been called and the mic has been opened for you, you state your address as well, whether you represent a group or association, whether you favor, oppose, or are only providing information in the matter, and what your comments or concerns might be. We do ask that you confine your testimony to facts related to the proposal at hand and avoid repetitive testimony. We also ask that you address the chair with your comments. So in the first case, item number 2 on the agenda is on the request to rezone 1341 Brosick Street from general commercial to varied density residential, submitted by James Hireman, Page Bellevue property owner. That's Page Bellevue LLC, property owner. So I wonder, Paul Newmeyer, our staff member, I know you've been working on this. If you could give us a brief introduction, that would be most helpful.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a property, 3.5 acres at the end of Brosick Street, which kind of runs parallel with Main Street on the very southern end of the city of Green Bay limits. Areas that are kind of gray shaded out are the village of Bellevue. The other areas that are not gray shaded are part of Green Bay. So this is just south of the Goodwill Harbor Freight commercial development, and Walmart is in the neighborhood as well. So this is a rezoning request from commercial to very density residential. As you can see, just to the right of the parcel highlighted in red, there are significant apartments already constructed in that particular area. So this request would allow for the rezoning to occur and allow for two 16-unit apartment buildings to be constructed in the future. This request is identical to one from 2016 that the Plan Commission saw. Plan Commission did support the request at that time. However, the Common Council recommended or ultimately denied the request. So nothing's really changed in that time frame, but staff is going to again support this request that's before you.
Thank you, Mr. Newmeyer. Before we raise this as an item for discussion among the commission and then possible action, I would ask if there's anybody in attendance here who wishes to speak of this item. Is there anybody who wishes to speak in opposition to the item? Anybody who wants to provide information only? Yes, Alder Kerlock.
I'm sorry, I was waiting for someone from the public to speak. That's why I was holding off. But I just wanted to say that this is in my district. I know the area. I've looked at the land. I've looked at the plan. And I cannot see a better use for this piece of land. It just finishes off a nicely laid out, nicely maintained rental community. I don't see that anybody would ever put a business there. I think it's a perfect use for the land, and I very much support it.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak? Is there anybody else who wishes to speak? Is there anybody else who wishes to speak? Okay, here I declare this public hearing closed, and we will proceed to item 3 on the agenda, which is consideration and possible action on the request to rezone 1341 Brosick Street from general commercial to varied density residential, submitted by James Hireman, Page Bellevue LLC, property owner. And Mr. Newmeyer, do you have anything further that you want to add for us?
Not much more, no. The city's comprehensive plan recommends medium to high density residential. So this zoning change is right in line with the city's comprehensive plan and certainly the uses that are occurring around it. So again, as I mentioned before, the staff is supporting the request. We did notice property owners within 400 feet. We didn't receive any calls or comments regarding this. So again, we're supporting the request to rezone.
Thank you very much. Do any of the commissioners have questions for the staff? Yes, Alder Corp Stacks.
This is for Kevin or Paul. I'm sorry, Director Bonker, Paul. We know why council declined it last year or last time this came up, why they went against it, denied it?
I could try and answer that, but I might be speculating. The previous alderman had some issue with the number of multifamily units within his district.
Oh,
I think that was problematic for him.
Okay.
So I don't want to get too far into the weeds as far as politics, but I think he had some reservations about adding 32 more units to his district at that time.
Okay.
That is correct. I believe Plan Commission might have been unanimous in their approval of it. And couldn't say I was very surprised. I believe it was a unanimous denial at council. But yes, along those lines, that is a specific reason it was on bequest of the alder at that time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody in the audience who wishes to speak on this matter? We already heard generally before we started. Any concerns in the support of Alder Gerlach? I see that we have Ms. Shepherd heading this way, but she hasn't gotten here yet. And I see a Marissa Mick and a John Moss. Do any of you wish to speak on this matter? If so, we need you to turn on your video and raise your hand so we can know. Okay then, any further comments or questions from the commissioners?
I would move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second, please? That was a motion by Commissioner Hanson.
Second.
A second by Commissioner Petrowski. All those in favor, let's see. I am going to vote in of Alder Corpus Stacks.
Aye.
Commissioner Hanson.
Aye.
Commissioner Miller.
Aye.
Commissioner Petrowski.
Aye.
Then the request to rezone Brosick Street from general commercial to very density residential, item number 3 on our agenda, does pass unanimously. And we will move on to item number 4, which is our second public hearing on the request to authorize a conditional use permit, that is a CUP, for a proposed dormitory use in an office residential district located at 320 South Webster Avenue, submitted by Marisa Mikulkowicz, I believe, Give a Damn Ventures in Green Bay Development and the Green Bay Development Authority, RDA property owner. Again, Mr. Newmeyer, could you give us a brief introduction to this before we open the floor for the public hearing?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is a request for conditional use permit for a dormitory at 320 South Webster Avenue. This is a rather small lot. It's only about 9,000 square feet inside. It's between Stewart and Crook Street. It's a vacant lot that is currently owned by the Green Bay Redevelopment Authority, RDA, and they are working with the applicant. The applicant's working with them to construct a dormitory on this property, and it's not your typical frat house or sorority. It's an actual house, except it meets the definition of a dormitory, which is more than 4 unrelated individuals living in one dwelling space. So zoning is office residential. There are single and 2 families in the area. There's some commercial to the north. But this could be a real unique infill situation to create a good use in this particular neighborhood. So I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you very much. Then I would open the floor as it is public hearing for any public comment on this item. And again, if you are wishing to speak on this item, first of all, are there any people who wish to speak in support of the item? I would ask you to, I see Jessica might be wanting to. Is that you, Jessica? No, that's not Jessica. That is, would you offer us your name and your address, please?
Sure. My name is Marisa Mikulkowicz. My address is 217 Jacob Street in Green Bay. I am the owner of Give a Damn Ventures, and this is my project I've been working on with the Redevelopment Authority. So I have all the answers.
Okay, and we will have opportunity to ask you any questions when we move to discussion and possible action on the item. But is there anything in general that you would like to say to set the tone for our discussions?
Absolutely. So the intention of this housing project at 320 South Webster is it's classified as a dormitory. It's more like a 2-family split unit. So on the top, it's 3 bedrooms. On the lower level, it's 2. This home is super energy efficient. It was designed by Passive House standards. So it's a very unique project. And our intention is to rent it as affordably to college students in the area or young professionals. Right now, we were working with UW Green Bay for a bit, but it didn't kind of align with our vision. So we're actually pursuing Bellin College as an option. Otherwise, we work with the young professionals in Green Bay a lot with volunteer opportunities. So either Bellin College students or the young professionals. So that is our project we've been working on for a while. And we are also working with the Navarino Neighborhood Association as well. So the president of that association actually lives at the lot behind this property, and they've expressed support of the housing project. So that is how I would like to introduce it.
Thank you, and thank you for the correction on the pronunciation of your last name.
It's okay, it's a doozy.
I understand. Okay, is there anybody else who wishes to speak in support of this item? Is there anybody who wishes to speak in opposition? Is there anybody who wishes to speak to provide information, neither in support nor in opposition? Is there anybody else who wishes to speak? Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? That being the case, I declare this hearing closed. Move on to item number 4 on the agenda. And that is the consideration and possible action on the request to authorize a conditional use permit, that is a CUP, for a proposed dormitory use in an office residential district located at 320 South Webster Avenue, submitted by Marisa Mikulkowski. That's closer, of Give a Damn Ventures and the Green Bay Redevelopment Authority property owner. I apologize for my landline around the corner here that's yelling at us. They are not trying to speak at this commission meeting. They're trying to speak to my husband, who is talking to our granddaughter, or to me, who is talking to you. So we'll just have to let it go. That is the item on the agenda. And so first of all, I would ask Mr. Newmeyer whether there is anything else he needs to add to the staff report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just really wanted to share the site plan and the building elevations, and maybe Kevin could just advance a slide or two. With the application, it was pretty complete, pretty solid, pretty accurate site plan that was put together. So I just wanted to show you that there's sufficient parking on site. There's one driveway access off of Webster. Here's the site plan. You can see in the footprint of the building is to the right. There is a small garage, I believe, behind the structure and some uncovered parking. So they're meeting parking requirements. The building's fairly close to the road. Then the next slide, I'll show the elevations. So the upper right-hand corner is the front elevation that'll be facing South Webster. So this really has a residential feel to it, maybe a single family look to it, but it's going to be occupied by more than and 4 unrelated individuals. So we notified affected property owners calls or concerns about this, and we were recommending approval of the request.
Okay, are there any questions that any of the commissioners wish to ask Mr. Newmeyer? Yes, Alder Corpus Dax.
Thank you. So is this kind of like a dormitory where it's, and I'm sorry if I missed this part, where it's, they might each have their individual bedroom, but they have like a common living room area, common, they'll share the kitchen area like that?
Correct. Right. So they have their own individual bedrooms, but they share common areas like laundry, kitchen, and other offering in the structure. So yes, that is a classic dormitory.
Right.
Just it has a much better appearance than you might suspect.
Okay. Okay. Fantastic. I think this is a great idea, something different that people are looking for. So I support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Alder Stoyer.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe I missed it. I just wanted to find out how many folks are planning on staying in this establishment. Was it 4? I didn't hear that. As
I
far
think
as,
Marissa
is there a
could
number? Go ahead.
We'll.
I could speak to that. I think there's 5 bedrooms,
Please,
if
but
I'm
let me
mistaken,
just
but I'm not
ask
sure.
Mr. Newmeyer to respond to that question first.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what the limit was. Is it 4 up to 8? Is it 5? Is it 6? I just wanted to get a number as far as what we're looking for here.
Paul?
Again, I'm not sure I have a total number, except that there's 5 bedrooms. I mean, there are numbers of capacity, but I'm not sure what Marissa's saying for total number of residents.
So we'll hold that question for when we open the floor for her to speak. I did want to ask, though, one of the items on this proposal noted that the Givendam Ventures is in the process of negotiating with the RDA about the price. And I assume that that is something that is being separately decided from what we would do tonight. Is Mr. Newmeyer?
That's correct. This is strictly the land use.
Okay. Any other questions? And Mr. Bonk?
Sure, just to provide some context, we've been working with Ms. Mikalkowicz for a while. We went down the path with another property and it ended up not working out, and then we were happy to find this one. So yeah, we're in the process kind of running these simultaneously to work on a development agreement for that particular parcel. But through our initial conversations, I think this was at RDA last month or the month before, there's full support for moving forward with this project.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for staff? I know we have at least one question for our petitioners, so I would like a motion to open the floor.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Hanson has moved and Commissioner Miller has seconded. Does anybody object to opening the floor? Then we will do so and ask Ms. Mikulkowski. How did I do? Is that better?
Yes, it's better. It's Mickle cabbage. It's like nickel and cabbage combined. That's how I teach kids. Yeah.
I can do that.
Yep.
Mickle cabbage.
Mickle cabbage. It sounds close enough. Yep.
Thank you very much. And
you're welcome.
For purposes of our record, we need to ask you to give your address, please.
Sure. My address is 217 Jacob Street in Green Bay.
And you do know the first question we need to ask you that Alder Stoyer has raised. How many people will be in this dormitory?
Absolutely. So there will be no more than 5. There's 5 bedrooms. So there's 3 on the main floor and 2 on the lower floor. So there will be 1 individual per room. I've lived with a lot of people in college, and I've learned that there are definitely a maximum amount of peaceful cohabitants. So 3 on the top, 2 below. 5
okay.
Total.
You referred to them occasionally you referred to this as a 2-family design, though.
Yeah.
It was a bit confusing to me for just that reason. So families will not be a part of the dorm here.
Correct.
These will be single individuals. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Well, that answers it, but.
Yes.
So you'd have 5 maximum, or would there be people staying overnight, that type of thing, other friends coming over, or is it just set up as 5? Not that it matters.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have people stay over, but it is set up for 5. So the parking's adequate for 5. The parking pad's larger than 5 vehicles. So there's a carport that has 2 vehicles. Parking pad has at least 3. So all the tenants will have a parking space with overflow parking available. So 5 will live there. I'm sure they'll have guests over, but 5 is the number.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other commissioners who wish to ask Ms. Oh, I can't do it again. It was so wonderful. Our petitioner a question.
It's mickle cabbage, isn't it?
Yes.
Yep. That's it.
Good for
Mickle
you.
cabbage, very Polish.
You didn't even have a question, but you offered that to us anyhow. Commissioner Hanson, thank you. Are there any other questions from the commission? I did want to ask myself, you make reference to community enhancement and to programming involving commitment or connections? Is there to be programming associated with the dormitory?
I'm not certain what type of programming I would provide. I just know we work very hand in hand with a lot of organizations in Green Bay right now. We do a lot of waste optimization, so we help local businesses and events recycle better. So we work really closely with On Broadway. We work with St. John's Homeless Shelter. We're actually at the Sardine Can, so a bar and then a homeless shelter. It doesn't make sense, but for us it does. So we're just trying to partner with as many organizations doing good and getting involved in the community. So programming wise, we would just kind of tie into what we're already doing. And some of these relationships occur pretty organically. So I'm sure something fun will come of it. But as for programming with that house, will probably tie in a lot with what the Navarino Neighborhood Association is working on, which involves a lot of youth programs, I've learned. So I'm sure we'll tie it in with that.
Would there be any intention to involve the students who would be your tenants in any of these activities?
I would love if they would jump on board. They'll definitely be exposed to all the opportunities because it will be a Give a Damn house. So naturally we'll inform them of all Give a Damn ongoing. So they'll see all the events we do and are more than welcome to join, but it won't be a requirement of their occupancy at the house.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the commission? I am aware that Darcy Shepherd is trying to drive her way here. Am I right about that, Ms. Shepherd? And you have your sound off, but perhaps you can click it so she could get in here. Mr. Bonk?
I got it. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can.
Sorry, I'm trying to make a meeting in Manitowoc as well as this one. I'm on time though, so don't worry.
Do you have any comments you want to make about this item?
I think I'm pretty excited about it actually. The neighborhood.
I do need to ask you, I'm sorry, for your address as well, so we know.
Darcy Shepherd.
Yeah.
316 South Webster Ave.
Okay. And what is your relationship to this particular item?
I am the renter. Don Spice, who owns the home, asked me to attend the meeting.
I understand. And we appreciate you trying to do so. And we're glad that you're enthusiastic about it. Is there anything else that you would like to add for us?
I don't have a lot to add. I think, I believe her name's Maria, has done a great job of explaining what it is so I can take it back to Dawn and her husband, Aaron. But being next door to me, I think that it's a great idea. I have a 20-year-old myself. I think this is something that he positively needs to see in the neighborhood. We do have a lot of youth that are from maybe lower income homes that could see the positivity that this house and the people that are going to be in this house making impact on our community that is very focused on the children. And I like that it's downtown for a lot of resources for this dormitory as well.
Thank you. We appreciate you dividing your attention, and I'm going to invite you to zero in on the road now and get yourself safely to Manitowoc. Thanks so much for your contributions.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on this? Then may we have a motion to return to regular order of business? Oh, unless, I'm sorry, Marissa, do you have anything else you want to add?
Oh, I am all good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. A motion to return? I see.
Motion to return.
Commissioner. Second. And a second from Commissioner Petrowski. Are there any objections? Hearing none, we are back at regular order of business. Are there any further comments or concerns to be voiced by the members of the commission or by any alders here present?
Move to approve.
A motion from Commissioner Hanson to approve and Commissioner Miller to second. I think yours was the first hand up in our and I will vote in favor. I ask Alder Corpus Dax, You wish to vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Hanson,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
and Commissioner Petrowski.
Aye.
Okay, I should have repeated that this was consideration of a request to authorize a conditional use permit for a proposed dormitory use in an office residential district located at 320 South Webster Avenue, submitted by Marisa.
Cabbage.
Thank you, Marisa, from Give a Damn Ventures, Green Bay Redevelopment Authority, RDA, property owner. It passes unanimously. And Director, will this be coming before the Common Council?
This will go to Common Council next Monday, the 29th at 6 p.m. This, along with the previous item, will both be at that meeting. So it's a Monday meeting, Monday at 6 p.m.
Thank you very much. And we thank you for bringing it to us, and good luck. That completes our items for possible action. We do get the director's report now, please, as an informational item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just an update on council actions. And this dates back a little while, but Tuesday, June 2nd, Common Council, 2 ordinances were read and approved on their second reading. One was rezoning a portion of 1828 South Ashland Avenue. That was for the Dino stop, rezoning to the C2 to enable in order the drive-through piece to move forward on that. And the other one was rezoning or changing the PUD for the 200 block of North Van Buren. And that was for the Whitney Park townhomes to allow for that expansion in that neighborhood.
And both of those passed?
Both of those passed unanimously.
Very good. Thank you.
Sure. And then just in terms of a few other things, let me take that back. All the other items in the Plan Commission report were approved. Alder Sawyer's request came back here today, and then Alderperson LaFave's request, we talked about at the beginning of the meeting, will be coming back next week or next meeting in July. And just to discuss what we have in terms of policy, but then also implementation and enforcement regarding that communication. In terms then of just a few other things, one for this Plan Commission. So we're in the midst of getting back to, I'll call it quote unquote normal. So we have been working a lot. I know the mayor's office and HR Director Fault, really, working to see how we open up City Hall and getting employees back to work and conducting business there again. And so they've been working with senior staff, all the department heads, in order to, put together protocols, plans to get City Hall back open. Of utmost importance is the health and safety of employees who are there. So there's been things throughout City Hall, like you need to wear a mask in public places, just one person in the elevator at a time. We got an upstairs and a downstairs, and spacing, and we've got sneeze guards and a lot of things. And specifically on our floor, we're doing a number of items just to make sure it's safe for our staff to come back. I think in terms of work, employees who have been working from home, are welcome to continue working from home so long as, they continue to perform. Some things though you just have to do in the office, running a GIS program or working in Eclipse, it's just a lot faster to be there. So we want to make sure that we've got the right things in place when they're coming back to work. So the first phase of that plan started on June 15th. So we've been in a full week now of allowing more staff to come back. We've also resumed pretty much most all on-site inspections, again, requiring our inspectors to wear masks while they do so, and still allowing for those who maybe have medical concerns to still have virtual inspections at this point, which we'll note and potentially follow up later. Phase 2 of this plan starts in 2 weeks on July 6th. And so long as, kind of our conditions, quote unquote, remain the same, we will look at doing a few more things starting in July. One of those will be having the public back in City Hall on an appointment basis. And so that is, the City Hall doors will be locked, but if you want to have a meeting at City Hall, it can be arranged, and you'll meet with the staff member. The staff member will bring you into the office to meet. We put pretty low capacity limits in all of our meeting rooms, but you'll be allowed to meet in City Hall and then be escorted out. We will also have allowances to have committee meetings in person if desired. So I would ask each of you within the next week, if you desire to meet in person, to email Ms. Steele, and if you want to copy, Mr. Newmeyer or myself on it, fine. But I think just to, so long as we can keep track, if you would like to participate in person, all of the committee meetings will be held in the council chambers. If you do come to the council chambers, it will just be committee members only. The public will not be attending in person at this time. We will still be doing a virtual meeting as well. But if you want to meet in person, you can come. We'll meet in the council chambers. But while you're in the council chambers, we're in a public space, so you'll have to wear a mask. So in terms of, so just for what it's worth, but if you feel more comfortable or would like to meet in person, that's going to be step 2, or we kind of had this hybrid approach. We've talked a lot about, potential for a virtual component long-term. I think in terms of really lowering the bar and being able to participate and accessibility for those, right, who may have other obligations, like individual tonight who was on the way to another meeting, it still allows for that public participation. So as long as we can, I would like to keep that a part of it. But just the take home and thing I ask of you just over the next week, if you could email Ms. Steele and just let her know if you'd like to attend in person. That way we can make arrangements for that to happen for the July meeting.
Okay, and I would remind us that the date of our next meeting is Monday, July 13th of this year. Does anybody have anything to add for the good of the order? Then may we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Keep them out there, Randy. All right, and I see a second from Lisa. Any objections? Let's go. Thank you all very much. Good night.
Night.